Hi guys, we are today going to do lesson 7, and in lesson 7 we're going to practice rounding in the to the nearest thousands place. During this lesson, before we even start watching the video, I have a few things that I want to show you that she's going to be using in the video just because they might be unfamiliar to us. So the first thing I want to show you is we are going to be practicing rounding on a vertical number line. So we should know the word vertical means going up and down. Okay, so on our number line, you'll see her use a vertical number line. Okay, and then another thing that she's going to be using is this symbol. So this symbol looks like an equal sign, but this symbol means approximately. So that means is approximately, is close to, is about. Okay, so they use this approximate symbol to show rounding. Okay, so I just wanted to show you those two things before we started the video. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the video. And I'll be stopping it here and there to explain some things and to practice extra questions.
Hello and welcome. Today we will be rounding to the thousands place. We are going to round 4,100 to the nearest thousand. How many thousands are in 4,100? There are 4 thousands.
So notice that when she wrote how many thousands there were, she wrote in both unit form and in standard form. So she wrote unit form, which was 4 thousands, and standard form to help herself.
And one more thousand would be 5 thousands.
She's thinking of what the next highest thousands place would be and what the lower, so we're thinking about this number and what a lower thousands place is and a higher thousands place. So below this number, the closest thousand is 4,000, and above this number, the closest thousand is 5,000.
What's halfway between 4 thousands and 5 thousands?
Pause your video and really think about this, because I think one of the harder parts of rounding on a vertical number line is thinking about what is halfway between the two numbers that we're possibly going to be rounding to.
4,500. If this is the halfway point, 4,100 would be here.
So in her example, the first thing she did was she looked at her number and then found the closest lower thousands, and then the closest higher thousands. So the closest lower thousands was 4,000, and the next thousand would be 5,000. Then she found her midway point, because this will tell us which way we want to round. Do we want to round down or do we want to round up? And then she put her number on her number line. So she figured out on her vertical number line where her actual number, her problem, was going to fit. So she found that 4,100 is going to go right here because it is less than 4,500, but greater than 4,000.
Is 4,100 nearer to 4,000s or 5,000s? 4,100 is nearer to 4 thousandths. So we say 4,100 rounded to the nearest thousand is 4,000. Let's try a different number. What about 4,700?
So think to yourself, she already has her step 1, which was to find the closest thousands, and her step 2, which was to find the midway point or the midway number. So step 3, think about what step 3 is. What is she going to do next to figure out what the rounded answer would be?
Is 4,700 nearer to 4 thousandths or 5 thousandths? 4,700 is nearer to 5 thousandths. Therefore, we say 4,700 rounded to the nearest thousand is 5,000.
So she knew to put 4,700 on the number line right here because she knew that 4,500 or 4,700 is greater than 4,500 and is less than 5,000. So in order for us to be successful at rounding, we need to have a good knowledge of place value and a good knowledge of comparing numbers.
Let's now round 14,500 to the nearest thousand. How many?
We're actually going to go backwards a little bit and then come back to this problem. So we are going to do a problem together where you're going to work your problem out on your own, or I'm going to give you a problem to work out on your own, and then we're going to see if you were correct. Okay, so your problem is to round 6,300 to the nearest thousand. You're rounding to the nearest thousand. So our first step, before I even let you go do it on your own, our first step is going to be to create your vertical number line. You need a line at the top, a line at the bottom, and a line in the middle. So now your second step, your next step is going to be to find the lower thousand, the closest lower thousand, and the closest higher thousand. So pause your video right now. Here, I'll put this here. Pause your video and find our higher thousand above 6,300 and then our lower thousand below 6,300. Okay, so hopefully we identified that this number has 6 thousands in it. So that is the best way to find your lower thousand, is just by identifying how many thousands this number has. So 6,000 is less than 6,300, and that is the closest thousand below 6,300. Then we're going to add one more thousand to 6,000 to find the thousand, the closest thousand higher than 6,300. So that would be 7,000. Okay. Your next step that you need to pause the video and try on your own is to find our midpoint. What is midway or halfway between 6,000 and 7,000? So you need to pause the video and answer that question. What is going to go here? What is halfway between 6,000 and 7,000? So halfway between 6,000 and 7,000, hopefully you figured that out, and that is 6,500. We know it can't be 7,500 because 7,500 is greater than 7,000. Okay, so that's how we know 6,500. Next, our final step in helping us round is to figure out where on the number line 6,300 is going to go. So pause your video and try to find out where 6,300 is going to go. Think about what it is greater than and what it is less than. So 6,300 is greater than 6,000. And 6,300 is less than 6,500. So on our number line, 6,300 is going to go about here. Okay. So we can determine that if we're trying to decide if 6,300 is going to round to 6,000 or to 7,000, we know it is going to round down to 6,000 because it is closer to 6,000. So 6,300 is approximately 6,000. Rounded to the nearest thousand is 6,000.
How many thousands are in 14,500?
So we have our number line, we have our question, and the first question she asked was how many thousands are in 14,500? So pause your video right now and think about how many thousands are in 14,500.
There are 14 thousands. Or 14,000.
So in my example, I did not write it in unit form, but that would be a helpful way for you to write it, to think about what is the next lowest thousand and the highest thousand, the next highest thousand.
And what's one more thousand? That would be 15 thousands, or 15,000. What's halfway between 14,000 and 15,000?
Pause your video and think about what's going to be halfway between 14,000 and 15,000.
That would be 14,500. Hey, that's the number that we're trying to round to the nearest thousand. 14,500 is right in the middle. It's not closer to either number. In instances like this, the rule states that when it's in the middle, you round up. So 14,500 rounded to the nearest thousand is 15,000.
So you always need to remember the rule that if it is directly in the middle, you're always going to round up.
Let's try another number. How about 14,990 rounded to the nearest thousand?
Ooh, this one is tricky. Okay, they added in an extra 10. So earlier we were just rounding with thousands and hundreds, but now we have our tens place has a digit in it. So think about where on the number line you're going to put this number 14,990. Put it on your number line, then unpause the video to see if you were correct.
Mark 14,990 on your number line, and then round it to the nearest thousand. $14,990 would be somewhere around here. And since it's nearer to 15,000, 14,990, rounded to the nearest thousand, would be 15,000. Let's try another number. Let's try 14,345, rounded to the nearest thousand.
I would like for you to pause the video and try this one on your own and see where you end up. What number would you round? What thousand, if you're rounding to the nearest thousand, what would 14,345 round to?
Again, go ahead and locate 14,345 number line. Is 14,345 greater than or less than the halfway point? Because it is less than, we round 14,345 to 14,000. Let's round 215,711 to the nearest thousand.
Go ahead and pause your video and try this one on your own. Remember, you want to find the thousands, how many thousands are in this number, and how many one more thousand is in this number. So this number is tricky because there's a lot of thousands in this number. So do your best and then unpause the video so that you can get clarification if you need any clarification.
How many thousands are in 215,711? There are 215 thousands.
This is one reason why she writes out the unit form to show how many specific thousands there are, because it is very helpful when you don't have all of those zeros in your number, and then you can really think about what is one more. What is one more?
What's one more thousand? 216,000. What is halfway between 215,000 and 216,000? $215,500.
Hopefully you've noticed a pattern when you're finding the halfway number, because when you are looking for halfway between 1,000 and another 1,000, half of 1,000 is 500. So you're really just adding 500 to whatever your lower thousands are.
Is 215,711 greater than or less than the halfway point? 215,711 is greater than. Let's go ahead and mark where it would be on our number. Since it is greater than, it's closer to 216,000. So 215,711 rounded to the nearest thousand is 216,000. Let's now round 214,569 to the nearest thousand using our vertical number line.
We're going to do this one together. Okay, so the question she gave us is 214,569. We're going to draw our vertical number line. We are going to identify how many thousands we have in our number. So we have 214 thousandths. Okay, and then when you add one more thousand, that is going to give you 215 thousandths. Okay, then we're going to identify the halfway point between 214,000 and 215,000. Look, I made a mistake. So we talked about what is half of 1,000, and we know half of 1,000 is 500. So we found our trick to finding the halfway point. You're just going to add 500 to this 1,000. Now, when we start rounding larger numbers or smaller numbers, you have to think about what the halfway point is of what you're rounding to. Okay. So our halfway point is 214,500. Now, on our number, we need to figure out where this number is going to fall on our number line. It is definitely greater than 214 thousandths. And you can look at it and recognize that it is also greater than 214,500 because it is 214,569. So it is very close to our midway point, but definitely higher. Okay, so then we're going to see, is it closer to 215 thousandths or is it closer to 214 thousandths? Well, we're definitely going to round up because it is closer to 215 thousandths. So our answer here is 214,569 is approximately 215,000.
How many thousands are in 214,569? There are 214 thousandths. What's one more thousand? 215 thousandths. What's halfway between 214,000 and 215,000? 214,500. Is 214,569 greater than or less than the halfway point? 214,569 is greater than. And since it's greater than, it's going to be rounded up to 215,000. Excellent work today. Let's now move into today's assignment. For your Lesson 7 problem set, your must-do problems are here on the screen. Go ahead and set a timer or watch the clock for 10 minutes to complete these problems. If you have any additional time, feel free to work on any other problems on the pages. Today, we rounded multi-digit whole numbers to the thousands place while using a vertical number line. Be sure to check in with your teacher, and we'll see you here next time for another Eureka math lesson. Bye!
Hopefully this video is helpful when it comes to rounding. I know it's a lot different than the way we're used to rounding, but this will definitely help us when we get to even larger numbers and decimals. So remember, all of the things we're doing now are going to help us later in the year. Work on your practice problems. And if you have any questions, please contact your teacher.